Okay, Genesis chapter 9. The focus of this chapter is on the covenant that God made with Noah. The rules, regulations, in other words, what they're supposed to do, what they're not supposed to do, be fruitful, multiply, cover the earth, what they're not supposed to do, kill other people. Okay, like we've seen before the flood, how people just kill other people for no reason. Not an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but 1 for 7. Okay, and then the chapter ends with the sad story of Noah, and then ultimately the curse on Canaan, right? The son of Ham. Okay, so this is basically what the chapter is about. So let's start looking at the chapter then. Verse 9. Chapter Genesis 9, verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. But this is now not the first time that God told people, told animals, to be fruitful and multiply. We see it after creation, and we see it now after recreation. And even then, it's not the first time that God told Noah to do this, right? Because in the previous chapter, we saw this as well, that they're supposed to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. We're going to see in the story of the Tower of Babel how they did not listen to God again, which is kind of normal, the normal for human beings, not to listen to God. Noah, as we've seen, the moral exception to this is he did listen to God. Verse 2, the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every bird of the heavens, upon everything that creeps on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. As I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. Okay, here in verse 2, there's a kind of a very logical thing happening here. Just imagine, okay, so now God allows for animals and people to eat meat, right? Something that he didn't allow before, at least we don't know about it. The Bible doesn't say anything about it, so we need to infer then that he didn't allow for it at that stage. People ate grass, or not grass, I mean vegetables and stuff like that, fruit. All right, now here he allows it. Now, and not only for humans, as well for like now the cats, the lions, if they were lions, or whichever cat was that they're on, now can eat meat. But just imagine what would happen if these animals said, oh, okay, we're not afraid of humans, we don't care about humans. We just, oh man, they're easy prey, right? They're a lot easier to catch than an antelope, for example. Chasing him down, catching him, killing him. It's a lot easier to kill a human being. Okay, we don't run and we're not as nimble as antelopes. Okay, some may be a bit faster than others, not all the same boats here, right? But in general, we are pretty easy prey. Now, what would have happened if this cat just sort of kind of decided, oh well, easy prey, just kill him, kill Noah and his wife and children, and then what? Then all of humanity is gone, right? The lion thought of God's plan kind of idea. So, in grace, by grace, this same thing we've seen God doing over and over and over in this whole story thus far in the creation and recreation story, the grace of God. We see our evil and we see God's grace all the time. So again, God planning ahead, God knowing what, so he puts the fear of man on animals so that they won't kill Noah and his family, so that there will be people, not just there, but as well in the future, right? Because ultimately, as well as we're going to see later in the chapter, that man is made in God's image, so therefore they're not allowed. So this is a very gracious and a logical thing for God to do, to make sure that the family will be safe. And then yes, the verse 2 ends with there that they will be delivered in their hands. So in other words, now that Noah and his family, they are allowed. Okay, so no need for vegans and for vegetarians. I mean, if you don't want to eat meat, that's your choice. But there's no need. God gave animals in our hands. Right? I just read on the whole abortion issue, where people say, but you know, if you eat meat, in other words, kill an animal, and then you are just as guilty as the person killing a baby. right? Because an animal is life and a baby is life. And see, there's a problem. They equate an animal life to a human life. Animals are not made in God's image. Man is made in God's image. So that equation of equating a human life and an animal life is nonsense. It's not biblical. It's not how God created us. Again, so yes, we are allowed to eat meat. Why? Because God allows for it, firstly. Secondly, we are not, we're not doing wrong when we eat it, like killing, for example, an animal, but not killing a human kind of idea. Again, because we see that there's a difference in how we are made. Okay, so if a pro-choice person comes and say, oh, but you stop eating meat then, because then you're on the same level, just answer and explain to him, but an animal was not made in God's image. Humans, we are made in God's image. So we are not allowed to kill humans, but we are, by God's giving, we're allowed to. And that's not a contradiction, right? Verse 3, then I've read already, so all living things shall be food to you. Before, God gave only the green plants, vegetables, fruits, whatever. Okay, but now, all living things. So, yes, again we see we are now allowed to eat meat. I want to say kind of thank you God for that, because bacon really tastes very good, And yeah, I mean, eating a piece of steak can last you kind of a day. I remember once in South Africa, I ate my aunt, who died of cancer last year. She gave me a big piece of steak and I ate it, and I then got in a bus to go to the north of South Africa, and I never ever had to, like, on the way, stop and get something to eat, because I was still full of that meat, that protein. Okay, it lasted me all the way till the next day. So there's therefore huge advantage. If I ate something else, I would have been hungry after a couple of 100 kilometers and not be able to last the 1,500 or whatever kilometers, and the nearly day on the bus. Verse 4, but you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. Okay, so one thing we're not allowed to do then is eat the blood. Why? Right? Because we'll see later that the life of animals is in the blood. Now I know the Seventh-day Adventists will say, but or the Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, they won't allow blood transfusions because of this. Right? This is different. Okay, and the Seventh-day Adventists will say, but the reason why God didn't allow for it is because there's all the bad stuff kind of in the blood, so infections, etc. in the blood. So if you eat it, you get those infections and you die. Like, say, for example, HIV or something. If you eat the blood and it's in the blood, then you get it as well, or whichever other kind of sickness. So stay away from the blood. Right? But that is not the reason. This is not a reason for a dietary reason that God is giving it. This is a moral reason. Right, because life is seen as in the blood, and if you eat the blood, therefore you're eating the life. Okay, so if you don't eat the blood, you just eat the flesh, as if you're not eating the animal itself. It's not eating the blood, the life of the animal. You're not taking life. Okay, but if you eat the blood, in which is the life, then you're taking the life which belongs to God. Okay, that is therefore what is going on here, not a dietary reason, but a moral reason. Life belongs to God.